Hello, my name is Migaloo, and for today's video, I wanted to share with you guys the very first piece that I did for this year's art fight. Now, if you don't know what art fight is, there is an official YouTube channel that has a video where they explain it much better than I can, but basically, it is a yearly online game where you can trade art of each other's original characters. Now, this year's teams were Steampunk, the team I was on, and Cyberpunk. Spoilers, Steampunk totally won. But JK, everyone wins because we all give and receive cool art. So basically, my process for art fight is to basically scroll through characters endlessly until someone jumps out at me. And for my first attack, I found this cutie. I really liked his design and the personality that you can see coming across in his expression and his clothes. So I go into the character page to find more info. I'll consider things like personality, backstory, any tidbits about the world they come from, or in this case, any pets or companions they have. Now, for this character, Foss Adler, who belongs to Vulgus Glitching on Art Fight, he is a My Hero Academia villain who makes up for being quirkless by specializing in guns. He's also super into snakes, as you can see by his awesome tattoos. Now, once I have an idea of the character, I kind of have a rough idea of what I want the piece to be. So next up, finding references. When I saw this man, my brain immediately conjured up this image of him looking menacingly at the camera while licking a gun like the suave villain that he is. So I go to Google, I type in licking gun and see what I find. I could have looked for more references, but I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do. So my brain took it a step further and said, what if we do thumbnails? My art teacher would be so proud. So I play around with this pose for a little bit and it's not quite working out. Like I try different perspectives, tilting his head up, tilting his head down, and finally my brain thinks, what if we add in a snake? No. What if we add in 2 snakes? No. Pull back. Too much. That's too much. Pull back. And I ended up with this. It also goes to show that a concept sketch doesn't need to look pretty, just gotta get it down on paper. Also super happy I did do thumbnails because this is way more dynamic than this. Alright, with all of that out of the way, finally, let's get on to the speed paint. So the face starts out a little wonky because I didn't use any references other than the character sheet for his face. So it took a little bit of finagling and finessing and a lot of the warp tool to get this looking decent. So at this stage, I focused mostly on the face because it's the real focal point of the image and the whole point of art fight is to draw each other's OCs. So I just used boxes for the gun and just a general snake head shape because I was going to look up references for those later and you'll see that. I couldn't find the exact references I used for the hand and other elements, but it is the only reason why they came out semi-decently. Now, for the pistol, I just started off with that basic box shape, and then looking at Google, I just started to build on top of that. Don't look at it too closely, it's not really accurate. So for the snake head, I really had to pay attention to my references and things because I didn't really know what they looked like. And I definitely wanted to include some sort of scale texture, but I only really wanted to draw it out by hand on the head. For the rest of the body, no shame at all, I totally used a brush. This is a brush from a tattoo Procreate kit. Or sets, pack, whatever. And then I just used the distort and warp tool to get it to where I wanted it to be. And then we move on to back to our boy with the line art and his beautiful lashes. When it comes to lining a character's face, I've been pushing myself to use more long, thin flowing strokes to outline the details in the face to give it more of a delicate feel. I really like to see this kind of technique in other art styles, especially in Castlevania. I loved the art style of Castlevania, so I've been trying to incorporate some of what I see from those art styles into my own art style. And then just trying to keep the feel of all of the different elements the same, just going in for a little bit of suit texture, also making sure that I add in this snake texture onto his neck, just from what I saw in the reference. And then, just like I did with the face with the long flowing thin strokes, try to incorporate that into the hair. I struggle with hair sometimes because I feel like I add too many lines in one area but then leave another area lacking, so it overall just looks unbalanced. So I've been trying to work on that as well and trying to make sure that I give each part of the hair love, and I think about where is the strand originating on the head. Now, the snake head is one part of this piece where I regretted going in with such thin lines because, as you'll see in a moment, the brush that I used is extremely thick. So there is a big disconnect from the way that I lined this to the way that the scales on the body look. Oh yeah, right here. You see what I'm talking about right here? It looks like the head is completely disjointed from the body. So I ended up going back in and boldening up some of those lines, trying to make sure that it now looks like one cohesive animal instead of a snake head floating on a Chinese finger trap. I don't know why I jumped the gun right here and decided to do the base color for his hair. I think I was just tired of lining, but as you'll see right now, I just went back and lined the pistol. I think I even streamed this as well, but I like to do everything in chunks usually. So I'll get all the sketching done for all of the different elements, move on to the line art, then move on to the base colors, followed by the shading, all that good stuff. And I also knew that if I didn't do the line art for the pistol now, I would not want to do it later because I did not enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed lining the hand more than I did the pistol. I think just because it allows me to use more organic lines and shapes, whereas like the pistol is like very boxy, right? It has straight lines, there's different compartments to it, just trying to make it look believable even though it's not. Don't look at it too close. All right, now we move on to the base colors, the most mindless part of it, just coloring inside the lines basically. I don't know much about snakes, but I have a really good friend, Mosspaints, who you should go check out, by the way, who knows a lot more about the animal kingdom than I do. So I went, hey man, what's a good snake that would fit this color theme? And she said the Brazilian rainbow boa would fit in super well. And as you can see on the screen right now, it's a beautiful, gorgeous snake with tons of red tones, and it even has like the white belly, which matches the hair. I was like, mwah, beautiful. This is perfect. Brazilian boas don't have big long fangs, but I wanted to add more drama to this piece, and I thought some really sharp, long, pointed fangs would just add to the whole villain aesthetic. I spent a lot of time shading and working on the snake just because it was the part that I was least confident in, because I had just never drawn one of these before. So I spent a long time making sure that I got the pattern correct, that the colors all looked good, it was readable from a distance, and it just took a lot of time of pushing colors back, bringing them forward, messing with different blend modes on the different layers, such like that. I think when I finally drew in between the scale lines on the face and then set this layer to multiply over all of the colors, I think that really made it pop and really come to life. And with a few final color adjustments to the snake, I move on to shading everything else. On the skin, I'll usually start with a blush color, going over the cheeks, the nose, the eyelids, usually a little on the forehead area. Oh, and the lips, of course. And then I jump around a bit, but I'm just trying to get the shading across the entire piece to be cohesive. So that way the shading on the suit and tie isn't darker than, let's say, the face. So I go back over the face, darken it up a bit, and then I go into the pistol and make sure that it looks like that there's light coming in from top right-ish. Now we're getting into hair territory, and I struggled with this for a couple different reasons. I think I just mostly need to work on hair a little bit more because I kind of got overwhelmed with the lighting situation and I made it just way too complicated on myself. Like at first I went over the whole thing with a light wash, and then I would deepen certain areas and pull back the light into certain areas like here, and it just wasn't looking right to me for some reason. So I scrapped that and just tried to take it piece by piece, marking out the areas that I knew for sure would be darker, and then just trying to disperse that throughout, kind of following the lines of the strands. And then it started to look a little too muddy, so I just went through and kind of simplified everything a little bit. And I honestly think it came out a lot better. And then I colored the entire canvas with a light beige, set that to multiply, chisels out the light parts, added in some finishing details, and then we're done. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. All of my socials will be linked down below. Subscribe to all the YouTube things, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!